You're all I need to get by. You're all like sweet morning dew. I took one look at you, and it was plain to see you were my destiny.
So I don't normally make videos like this, and people who know me know I don't. I'm not a big social media head. I feel kind of like social media makes us more antisocial, but I also know that this is the changing time, and you kind of got to go with it. However, for the record, I want to say that I think if everybody were to go antisocial for a day, I think we would see a lot more productivity in our youth and in all of these movements. I think that they would have a lot more success if just for a day everybody said no to social media and said yes to holding a hand. That's just my belief, and so I had to preface this video with that. But I really wanted to talk about the Sandra Bland case and kind of what's going on with that. I go on Facebook and that's all I see is Sandra Bland, this mugshot of her, or her saying "Good morning, kings and queens," and I think the contrast is just devastating to me. So the first thing I want to say is this case itself is not the first, nor will be the last. I think that it's good that it's out here. I think that the brutality towards women, especially Black women, being publicized in such a national, international way is good because someone needs to speak out about it. And I think that, social media being kind of the platform for this is good because people who are not necessarily aware of these things are seeing it just by happenstance. So I think that it's good because it started a conversation. However, I do want to say that, and this goes on the record, I'm not discrediting any of the gravity to the situation or what is going on with Sandra Bland and her family. My deepest respects go out to Sandra Bland and her family, and my deepest respects also go out to all of the people who were positively affected by Sandra Bland, because I think we forget about those people, the people that she's helped, and the people that saw her videos that she would make, and it really changed their lives. I think that they're also grieving, and I think that all people, my deepest respects and my deepest respects go out to all of the people who never got to meet her, because I think that that's just as much of a grave issue as well. But again, all of the formalities out of the way, her case, her death, is very devastating to the Black community. And as a Black woman, I'm very devastated by it because it could be me. It could be me driving, and it very well could have been me. But I do want to make a point. Well, not but, however, because but negates everything I just said. However, I need to make a point to everyone that I think no one has seemed to point out, that this has brought up a big conversation on the brutality of cops and how much we hate cops and how bad cops are and how all cops are pigs and all cops need to die and all of this about cops and all cops are horrible. This is where I think social media has played a very big part in illuminating something that is illuminating a falsehood, I guess. So I say this to say my father is a police officer, has been for over 20, 30 years now. And my father may not have been the best father, but he's a damn good cop. And I say that to say my father's been shot at. My father's been beat up. I am someone who got a phone call that my father was in the hospital because some jerk off in a store decided to, take him by surprise. And he was just walking in just to walk in. You know what I mean? So I am on the other side of this. I am a family member, a daughter, and a friend to someone who is out here protecting and serving. And I've seen my father be saddened and hurt by these horrible and grave situations. I've seen my father's commentary on this police brutality, and I've asked my father, like, when these things happen, I call my father and I say, Dad, like, what the heck? You know, not to be too detailed, but my father is actually now in internal affairs, and you know, I want to make sure he's protected. And if you know my father, then you know, hey, but he is the cop for the cops. Like, he's a cop that makes sure that these cops get off the street. So not all cops are bad cops. And as I said, my father was not the best dad growing up, but he's a damn good cop and he's good at his job. And I've seen my father, you know, really go above and beyond as a police officer to protect us, me, my sister and I, and other fellow community members. I mean, my father is well respected in my neighborhood where I grew up. And I think there are good cops. And I think this commentary that all cops, nothing is all. I think this all attitude is what gets all of us women and all of these videos of this police brutality. This is what's causing the problem, is this all word. I think we have to realize that we're saying all about them, but they're saying all about us. And it's that all word that is dangerous. It's the all word that is, you know, I watched a video and it said that, you know, the police officer in the Sandra Bland case was treating her off of preconceptions about how Black women are. And I think that it's that all word that created that stereotype, that created that preconception. So if we stop saying all and start targeting the ones and the specific ones, you always realize that there are less of the bad ones than there are the good ones. It's just that the bad ones drown out the, I guess we can't see the good past the bad, because it's just a society that we live in. I also want to say that we are the problem. All of these people who are so, you know, ready to be up in arms about these videos and posting them. I've seen videos on Facebook of little girls encouraging each other to fight. Like, oh no, we gonna fight until we get tired. That's what we do. Or no, don't break up the fight. Or like, where were the cops in this video? It was 7 and 8 year old little girls. You're teaching your children to record fights, and you're teaching your children to instigate these fights. You're teaching your kids that, you know, you can't be no P, you can't be no B, you can't be out here, you know, letting these people disrespect you and this and the third. But yet when a cop comes up to you and says something to you, then all of a sudden, oh, where was justice then? The cops do to us what we do to ourselves. And I will stand by this. I know this video is getting long, but I will stand by this. That to teach him, it was the Willie Lynch letter. Like, we are still living in that. It's still, slavery is not a lifestyle. It's not captivity in the sense of a tangible captivity. It's not a tangible chain. Yes, people have compared slavery to the handcuffs, and yes, people have compared slavery to the brutal deaths of Blacks and Hispanics and people of minorities in prison. Yes, we've compared all of that to slavery, but I will say this: the Willie Lynch letter said it the best. The summary is that, you know, how do you make a slave? You teach a man that his slavery is his freedom. I want everyone to realize that we are slaves in our minds before anybody enslaves us. I think, you know, I think of a lot of our just like the whole civil rights movement happened outside of social media, for one. For two, it was one of the most, well, actually one of the most, it is the worldwide movement known to everyone. It was one of the most effective movements, and we had a lot of death. We had a lot of brutality. We had a lot of, you know, just because of the civil rights movement, it did not stop racism. I'm sorry, it's late. Racism. However, you know, it just, I guess I need to say this. One, we are the problem. Because I want to summarize, it's getting long. One, we are the problem. If you teach your little girls and little boys to stop being the one recording the video of the fight and be the one stopping the fight, and teach your children how to communicate using their words and not their fists, then maybe when they get pulled over by the police officers, the video in the cop car that's recording might show your children knowing their rights. It might show your children defending themselves in an educated way that later on would be better proof in court to actually castigate the police officer. If we taught children, and I'm saying children, I know I'm saying children because as an adult, it's a very hard topic because, there's a lot with adults and preteens even. I'm just saying children because that's where it starts. And if it can't stop today, let's stop it 5 years from now. I think a lot of people don't realize that our activity today is what our future will be. So teach your children to love one another. Teach your children to be kind to one another. I know children are born outside of preconceptions and preconceived notions. So if we had children who loved each other, and instead of recording these school bus fights and these fights on the street and mothers fighting with their 10-year-olds, like if that were to go away, I'm pretty sure these Sandra Bland cases, they would be able to be handled in such a different way, and we would have such, like, if I were a judge and I were sitting at that bench, and I had to, some of these cases, I had to see some of them. What do you have to speak for yourself? Sandra Bland is a very, very unique case in the sense that we have the proof of her being an activist. We have the proof of her loving and caring for strangers and her family members and her friends. We have that proof. But for all of these kids who are getting locked up in our system, for all of these young men, all of these young women who are getting caught up in these videos of this police brutality, when I go on their Instagram, when I go on their Facebook, when I go on their Twitter, what do I see? And I'm being honest. You are what you eat, and what I see is who you are. So if I were a judge, if I were a police officer, all I see all over your page is videos of fights and F this, F that hoe, all this type, just all of that. If I were to see that, it would make me very unlikely to believe that you were being docile, that you were not resisting arrest, and that you were not in any way aggravated to the point of the police officer feeling threatened. I just want people to know. My sister said it best. And I love my sister because she's amazing, but she said it best. If you scream, you lose your voice. And if you scream, you usually cannot hear the other person speaking. So in an argument, the louder your voice becomes, the less efficient you are. Whisper her name. And again, total props to Alexis. Whisper this woman's name. A lot of things have been done. And give her the same reverence that you would give someone you love. And I just want to close in saying this. The Underground Railroad was a silent train ride. So for all of you who don't know what the Underground Railroad is, look it up and see that some of the founders to why I can sit on this computer and make this video and why I am free today as a young Black woman. Yeah, it happened in silence. It happened in the night, in the dark. So sometimes the passive and peaceful answer is the right one and the most effective. So let us stop being the problem. Let us put down social media and take up a hand and love on somebody and care on somebody. Care for somebody.